Roadside Picnic is one of the examples of classic science fiction of the Soviet Union. Written in the early 70s, the book combines such features as classic science fiction with elements of post-apocalypse, partially touching on the topic of aliens and possessing its own unique world building. Today I would like to tell you about the world of Roadside Picnic, about the zone, its inhabitants, about anomalies and artifacts. But first, a little background. Approximately 13 years before the events described in the book begin, 6 zones appear in several places on Earth. Zones, areas in which strange phenomena begin to occur that violate the known laws of physics. The zones are located along a smooth line on the Earth's surface, the projection of the so-called Pillman radiant, a point lying on a straight line connecting the Earth and Deneb. The reason for the emergence of the zones was the temporary arrival of an unnamed in the book alien race on Earth. In fact, the aliens decided to have a small picnic on Earth where they left a lot of garbage in the form of artifacts and anomalies, after which they calmly left the planet without paying any attention to humanity. In fact, I really like the concept of the representation of aliens in the Strugatsky brothers' world, and what's interesting is that in our world, we can observe similar events, but not in the relationship between people and aliens, but in the relationship between people and ants. During the book, we have a description of only one zone, the zone through which the main character will travel. Other zones and their contents are unfortunately left without attention. Fortunately, even so, from the description of what is in one zone, we can understand the approximate contents of other zones. The book stipulates that the zones are uninhabited, people and animals cannot live in them. However, in reality this is not entirely true, because at least in the zone where the main events of the novel take place, anomalies are mentioned in one way or another, which can hardly, but can be called inhabitants of the zone. Stalkers are not inhabitants, but rather visitors of the zone. The main purpose of their existence is to penetrate the territories of dangerous zones in order to obtain alien artifacts for subsequent sale and profit. They are illegal researchers of the zone, and therefore each of their forays is risky, not only because of the threats of the zone itself, but also because of the military, who can simply kill or send stalkers to prison for illegally entering the zone. Tramp Dick is the supposed source of the noise at the Harmont factory, where the main action of the novel takes place. We have no idea what the inhabitant of the factory might look like, but we know for sure he is the only permanent resident in the area where he lives. Shepherds, mutant people living in the northwest in the zone since the appearance of the zones on Earth. They do not appear in the book itself. Living dead, or dummies, are autonomous wandering dead bodies of people buried in the zone before the visit. In essence, zombies usually try to leave the zone and return to the houses where the person used to live. It is also mentioned that individual body parts of the dummies are completely autonomous. They are often mistakenly called Walking Dead. The movements of the dummies are awkward and abrupt, reminiscent of the movements of a mechanical doll. Their intelligence is practically zero. They try to imitate the everyday actions of people. Interestingly, being near the living dead for a long time can be beneficial to health. The main obstacle in the journey of any stalker in the zone will be such a phenomenon as an anomaly. Usually anomalies are invisible to the human eye, and to check the territory for anomalies, stalkers use small objects like nuts, screws, bolts, and so on. If the stalker feels that there is an anomaly close to him, he throws a small object in its direction. If the object does not show any anomalous properties after landing, the territory is clear. Otherwise, the stalker will have to look for an alternative route or go back. This section will describe only those anomalies that have a specific description and name. Witch's jelly, or colloidal gas, is a kind of fluid substance. It penetrates skin and any other organic matter, plastic, metal, concrete. The only material that can contain the anomaly is special porcelain vessels. Almost everything that the anomaly reacts with turns into witch's jelly. This anomaly is not subject to research, and its removal outside the zone is strictly prohibited. Merry ghosts. Merry ghosts are abnormal air turbulences in certain areas of the zone that pose a danger to humans. Getting into them can cause serious harm to humans. Zelenka. Zelenka is an unknown substance and phenomenon that can flow along the ground. Zelenka is dangerous for humans. Zelenka itself as an anomaly is similar to weather phenomena, and it is best to wait out Zelenka while on a hill. Mosquito bald spot is an area with abnormally high, thousands of times, gravity, known in scientific circles as gravitational concentrate. Stalkers discover them by throwing nuts and other small objects. Hitting into this anomaly will instantly flatten any object. Burning fluff is a harmful wind-borne formation, one of the few that can be protected from by wearing a protective suit. For some unknown reason, it is not carried by the wind outside the zone. Devil's cabbage is a dangerous formation that shoots out harmful particles. Wearing a protective suit protects against spitting. Shadows are anomalous shadows from illuminated objects in the zone. As a rule, they are on the wrong side of the objects. Often the shadow is directed towards the sun. This phenomenon may be harmless, but stalkers prefer to avoid it. Rusty bast is something similar to bast, what growing on TV antennas in the Plague Quarter, a former residential area that ended up in the visitation zone. When in contact with metal, it immediately causes severe corrosion and gradually passes onto it. Due to this, transporting rusty bast is difficult. It is not subject to research. Silver web-thin shiny threads of unknown origin. The strength of the threads is small, about the same as that of a regular web. If a person comes into contact with this web, regardless of whether he wears a protective suit or not, then after a certain period of time, the heart will rupture and instant death will occur. The meat grinder is a deadly anomaly. When an object or creature enters its field of action, it instantly twists, deforms, and tears apart. It is almost invisible from the outside. It is described as a transparent void in the shadow of an excavator bucket. The meat grinder is located directly on the approach to one of the most important artifacts of the zone, which will be discussed a little later. Just as often as anomalies, artifacts are encountered in the zone. Artifacts are objects or items possessing anomalous properties, but despite this, their true purpose, despite 20 years of study, remained unknown. It is believed that artifacts, like anomalies, from the point of view of their true owners, are just garbage that they left after visiting. In this section, only those artifacts that have a name and that have a description of their properties and work will be described. The white hoop is a white ring made of light metal. If you put it on an axle and spin it slightly, it will continue to move until it is stopped by force. This object is one of the infinite sources of energy that was found in the zone. Bracelets are metal rings that have a beneficial effect on human health. Pins. Pins are small, pin-like objects that, under certain conditions, begin to emit a sequence of colors in the visible spectrum. Zuda. Zuda is a device, the type and shape of which are not described in the book. In an active state, for initiation, it is enough to squeeze between the fingers. It somehow affects people and animals, causing feelings of fear and discomfort. Dummy. A dummy is two metal discs, the size of a tea saucer, the space between which is not filled with anything except air, but which at the same time maintain their mutual arrangement under arbitrary loads. In the book, the sample artifact was small, but in the zone, there are dummy discs of a larger size. Death lamp. The death lamp is a device that produces radiation of an unknown nature, which has a detrimental effect on Earth organisms. Black splashes are small black formations shaped like a ball. A beam of light entering them comes out with a delay and at a lower frequency. They are used in jewelry. The eternal battery is a small, inexhaustible source of electrical energy, the second perpetual motion machine of the zone, and a source of infinite energy. The artifact has found wide application in technology and has led to the rejection of hydrocarbon fuel. Under certain conditions, it can multiply by division. One battery is enough to set a passenger car in motion. Well, I was able to tell you about all the artifacts that I have information about. Of course, there are many more different artifacts in the zone, but almost nothing is known about them, which is why there is no point in talking about them. In any case, it's time to tell you about the most important artifact of the zone, about the source and executor of the most secret desires. The Golden Sphere, or the Wish Machine. This is an object in the shape of a copper-colored sphere. According to legend, it has the ability to fulfill wishes, but not just any, only the most secret ones. The Golden Sphere is what will give happiness to a troubled world. Happiness for everyone, for free, and let no one leave offended.